off talking about this for a long time, but I feel like I'm ready to talk about it. For those of you who have followed me through artistic author to Jesse now, you may remember me working on a webcomic that got me into the National Young Writers Festival and just a bunch of fun things. It was not a very well drawn comic because I was forcing myself to work on it at a speed, at a pace that wasn't reasonable, and I got burnt out. But also I felt like a webcomic was not the right medium for the story I was trying to tell. After a while, I decided to turn it into a novel, and I started working on it. In total, I have worked on the offcuts for 6 years. 4 of those years about full-time, the other 2 part-time. The story, as a brief summary, is about a group of queer people who meet each other online and create a community. Mel and Miles, Wade and Cody, they meet on a website called YouPost, which is inspired by Tumblr. And Cody and Mel move in together, and Miles and Wade move in together. And it focused on their life. I had written out the entire plot, finished, and just worked on it for years. There was a point that came when I realized I couldn't write it anymore. It was dead. And that point came when my anxiety, who I always thought was paranoia, made me realize that I didn't have friends. I had people who I considered friends and who I treated as friends, but the majority of them, as in all of them other than like 2 people, were taking advantage of me or just stepping all over me, not really making it clear that they didn't like me. And part of that is because I'm autistic and I have a difficult time understanding social cues, but I've prided myself on learning those and noticing when people are uncomfortable or if I'm being a bit too enthusiastic about a topic, because that's something I do. I end up talking a lot about something because I have a lot of special interests. And, you know, a lot of the time I blamed myself, but most of the time it was people taking advantage of me. And this is not me saying this is something that other people have said to me, but I'm too nice to people who don't deserve it, and they end up using me. It has happened many, many times, both in romantic and non-romantic relationships. And so, if you've watched my The Disappearance of Jesse Anderson video, you will know that I basically lost all my friends. It was really rough because my anxiety always told me, nobody loves you, everyone hates you, your friends secretly don't like you. They think it's, none of them would ever make plans to hang out with me. I was always the person making an effort, because if I didn't, I would be alone. And so after that, I quit all my social media other than YouTube. Also, we're in lockdown now, so it's extra exhausting to be very alone. But I don't regret it at all. Now, back to the offcuts. The reason that it was very difficult to continue writing a book about friendship is because it didn't come naturally to me. It was a fantasy world, at least for me. It was really rough because, writers should write about things they know. Margaret Atwood says it, Murakami says it, Stephen King says it. Stephen King, though. I don't want to write about something that doesn't feel personal or relatable or isn't coming from, the inside of me. It's not something I have to research. And for me to write about healthy, happy friendships just became impossible. And the longer I thought about it, the guiltier I felt and the lonelier I felt. And that's when I decided to just scrap the project. It feels like losing a child, genuinely. I never thought I would be that attached, but it really does hurt. I may start the project up again. I don't think it would suit me in the future because I'm going to be in my 30s soon, so it won't really have the same energy. I don't want to be like John Green in my 50s writing about how sexy teenage girls are. Although I am wearing a shirt from his wife's company, but I've got a lot to say about her as well. Art assignment ripped off a book by the jealous curator, and anyway. I finally felt comfortable enough to talk about this, and the freedom I feel now that this guilt of this book I'm working on being gone. There was a competition I saw in the Literary Journal for LeVar Burton's podcast, where he was asking people to submit short stories on a variety of topics. It was horror and science fiction, if I remember correctly. And the deadline is August 31st. Had a whole thing about how him and a panel are going to be reviewing the works and how they'll judge them. And I thought, you know what? I have a burning desire in me to write a short story. Why not? I never liked short stories because they were forced upon me in school. But I read a collection of short stories by Murakami. Not by him, sorry. Collected by him. And apparently he has great taste in short stories because it got me into short stories. And I read a lot of New Yorker short stories as well. And I thought, I'm going to do this. And I did it. My story is called Strange Fish. And I have not touched it for a while. I'm going to give it 10 days and then review it, and then another 10 days, review it again. I can't submit it to the competition because I didn't read the fine print and it's for US residents only. Dang it. But it was good to have a deadline because it warmed up my heart and it made me feel like writing again. It sounds very fake saying these things about how I feel about writing, but not that it's a higher calling or that I'm doing sacred work or something, but it is something of the soul, and it's a very spiritual connection, at least for me, this very important core of my existence. I mean, I was an artistic author. I wanted to be a writer ever since I was a baby, and I've continuously felt that pressure, but I always felt guilty because I wasn't writing or I wasn't working on what I was writing. And now I feel like I can write again. And I'm grateful for the friends that I do have that are good friends who reach out to me and that I reach out to, and that we have healthy connections, because looking back on the friendships I had, it was exhausting. There were fun times, but at the end of the day, I was always wondering. I wasn't really wondering, it was always, I like you way more than you like me. I have way more fun hanging out with you than you have fun hanging out with me. And if friendship feels like hard work, or any relationship feels like hard work, something is wrong. It shouldn't feel like hard work. You shouldn't feel as if you're talking too much, or as if you're exhausting the person. I'd rather have a couple of good friends than 10 or 20 friends who just treat me like shit or don't even treat me like anything. Because it's not worth it. I never really believed in manifestation until I started kind of living manifestation. I would meditate and I would believe in myself. I was like, I'm going to get out of this old house. I'm going to get a good job as an artist, writer, academic, professor, whatever. And at the back of my mind, I was always like, you won't though. You're a pushover and you're stuck in your ways. And I just kept getting angrier. And that anger actually helped me have the courage to move out. And is also giving me the mental space to be like, I want to do these things. I want to spend time writing. I want to spend time cooking new things for myself. I want to spend time going to the park and just hanging out and reading there by myself with no obligations. I want to be a great writer. And even if that means that I self-publish some work and that a few people read it and I get like one email from someone saying that what I wrote meant something to them, that's honestly enough. Would I love to be a world famous author? Yes. But I don't know. I would love to do that. I think poet. I'd prefer to be a famous poet. But that's harder to get into. I'd love to write a novel. Right now I feel like it was too difficult for me to jump into writing a novel. Plus I don't know what I would write about. But a short story was a really good idea. And I'm glad I did it. And I'd like to write another short story. Yeah. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Love you, Murakami. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Not sure what Monday's video will be. But hopefully it'll be better than this one. No, I'm glad I talked about this. I needed to get it off my chest, and maybe this will help someone. If you feel like you can't finish a project and it makes you feel guilty and it's eating away at you, just stop. Do something else. I haven't put my book in the bin. I still have all the files. I still have the notebooks and the sketchbooks full of drawings of my characters, but I'm saying I can't do this and I'm going to do something else. Boundaries are healthy. Bye-bye. Would I love to be a world famous author or like poet? Or Robin is snoring. Hang on. Robin Cam. There he is.